Hello, class, and welcome to our review of To All the Girls I've Rejected, which is another um, essay that's dealing with identity and stereotyping and the effects, um, again, of this notion of the stereotype threat with regard to academic opportunities. So, the title, before we get started, is a reference to the song To All the Girls I've Loved Before. And essentially, if you look at the lyrics of the song, you'll see that it's an apology. Uh, in essence, her essay is like an apology. And here's just a little Julio Iglesias and Willie Nelson doing the song on YouTube. If you want to listen to the song, I'm sure many of your elders might be familiar with it as well. It's an interesting duet by the two of them. Notice the tone, right? So that being said, you could listen to the song, but the tone of the song, like the tone of writing, can convey emotion. And the song it's an apology, right? I dedicate this song to all the girls I've loved before, but the winds have changed every time I tried to stay, and they just carried me away. So it's not my fault. Sorry, I had to move on. I'm a musician, etc. Yeah, the song in context, could be interpreted in different ways, but it is an apology. So this is a play on words, an allusion to the title, To All the Girls I've Rejected, right? And notice that the author starts with an anecdote, as we should also hopefully include if you get the opportunity to, invoking ethos, to help establish the purpose of the argument. A few days ago, I watched my daughter Madeline open a thin envelope from one of the 5 colleges to which she'd applied. Why? Is what she was obviously asking herself as she handed me the letter saying she was waitlisted. Why indeed? And she gives numerous examples of how she was more than qualified. And then she references the fat acceptance envelope. So the thin envelope is the wait list. The fat envelope is the one that has all the documents for admission. Now, here we go. At the end of the story, right? I know this well. At my own college these days, ethos, right? We have 3 applicants for every one we can admit. Just 3 years ago, it was 2 to 1. Though Kenyon was a men's college until 1969, more than 55% of our applicants are female, a proportion that is steadily increasing. My staff and I carefully read these young women's essays about their passion for poetry, their desire to discover vaccines, and their conviction that they can make the world a better place. I was once one of those girls applying to college, but that was 30 years ago, when applying to college was only a tad more difficult than signing up for a membership at the Y. Again, the anecdotes, the personal experience continue to help orient you to the subject matter. Today, it's a complicated and prolonged dance that begins early, and for young women, there's a little margin for error. Notice how she uses the colon after the complete sentence to set off the ideas for emphasis. Rest assured that admissions officers are not cavalier in making their decisions. Last week, the 10 officers at my college sat around a table 12 hours a day, deliberating the applications of hundreds of talented young men and women, while gulping down coffee and poring over statistics. We heard about a young woman from Kentucky who were not yet ready to admit outright. She was the leader, president, editor, captain, lead actress in every activity in her school. She had taken 6 advanced placement courses, had been selected for a prestigious state leadership program. Look at all these qualifications. Look at all these appeals to logos. In her free time, right? 300 community service, right? Hours. Notice the description in that paragraph related to visualization of almost what was going on in the room. When you're sharing your anecdotes, try to make your descriptions vivid and use specific examples, right? Unfortunately, her test scores and grade point average placed her in the middle of our pool. We had to have a debate before we decided to swallow the middling scores and write admit next to her name. Had she been a male applicant, there would have been little, if any, hesitation to admit, right? The reality is that because young men are rarer, they're more valued applicants. Today, 2/3 of colleges and universities report that they get more female than male applicants, and more than 56% of undergraduates nationwide are women, right? By 2009, only 42% of degrees will be given to men. We have told today's young women that the world is their oyster. The problem is so many of them believed us that the standards for admission to today's most selective colleges are stiffer for women than men. How's that for an unintended consequence of the women's liberation movement? And she goes on, this notion of an unintended consequence, an effect that was not anticipated. It's interesting too, right, that she presents the notion that it's not just about availability of dance partners. Notice her kind of tone at times is trying to be playful and trying to be somewhat informal, just like the title is a reference to a popular song. But again, once you become decidedly female in enrollment, fewer males, and as it turns out, fewer females find your campus attractive. She goes on then to continue the essay, supporting with details and specifics from her own admissions procedures. Right? Let's look at how her conclusion is working, how she's repeating the point, how she's reviewing the support, and how she's reflecting on bigger picture, global awareness. What are the effects of this on our culture and our society? Yes, of course, these talented young women will all find fine places to attend college. Maddie has 4 acceptance letters in hand, but it doesn't dilute the disappointment. Ooh, look at that alliteration, all those D's. Doesn't dilute the disappointment they will feel when they receive a rejection or waitlist offer. I admire the brilliant successes of our daughters. To parents and the students getting thin envelopes, I apologize for the demographic realities. Demographic reality. She's reflecting on the bigger picture. There are demographic realities related to gender and biological identity that have unintended consequences, unintended effects. The question is, how can we better understand them so we can avoid those consequences and provide a more equitable educational atmosphere regardless of biology and gender? So notice how the writer invokes her ethos. She provides statistics, she provides facts, she provides examples, logos, looking at it from a timing standpoint of her own daughter and her own situation as an admissions officer, Kairos. And again, those appeals to pathos, those appeals to emotions. Right? It's unfortunate that she has to write this, just like it's unfortunate that she has to reject those applicants strictly because of gender. So that being said, I hope you found this helpful. If you get a chance, right? If you know some older people, let them know, hey, I checked out Julio and Willie. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Julio Iglesias, he is the father of Enrique, right? Again, try to be creative in your titles. If you can allude to or reference song lyrics, you might find that helpful, just like the author did as well. So I hope this helps you. It helps instill a sense of confidence. Write with confidence. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and listening. And up next is our conclusion lecture video.